As you can see, once you have your site selected, you have a few more options. Typically, the first one you go to would be Integrated Site Test. This will walk you through the test that you created with your site. Meter testing allows you to solely test the meter, either as a customer load, a phantom load, or with an MTA15Z. Instrument transformer testing allows you to test your CTs or your PTs, however you wish to do so. Data trending allows you to insert an SD memory card in the SD memory card slot and record variable data. Deselect site deselects the site and returns it to its 4-option menu. Utilities does not change from what we looked at previously, and neither does recall data. Now we will start with integrated site test. Once you are hooked up and you are ready to perform your test, you go into option 2. There are some things that you can do beforehand. For example, if you want to look at your waveforms and your vectors to make sure that you are hooked up correctly, you can press your waveform or your vector key at this point, and you can look at your vectors and your waveforms. If you're not exactly sure how to hook up the Powermaster for this particular form, build your site, go into option 2, integrated site test. This lets you confirm this is the test that is in the database for this site. You go to next screen. On this screen, there is a connection diagram. This shows you which voltages and which currents the Powermaster is looking for and where they should be for this particular site. So if you're at a site you're not familiar with, you can go to this screen, say, okay, I need A and B hooked up here and here. Make those connections, previous out, and then go in and look at your vectors and your waveforms to make sure everything looks correct. On your vectors, here's another little tidbit to help troubleshoot. There is an option, F1, reference. It shows you what your vector should look like at Unity. Your current vector may be to the left or right, but overall it should resemble this pretty closely. If you have phase A over here, current vector over here, opposite of the voltage, something at some point is backwards, either your connections or the CT. Same with B or C. What you're actually looking for is making sure that the voltage and the currents are closely related to each other in their location, and they are in their respective quadrants. Previous takes us back. So we would want to perform an integrated site test, which in the testing video we'll go through and show how to do the hookups on that as well. As I said before, you get to look at your test setup, you get to look at your wiring diagrams that show up, and once this is finished, you get another look at your vector. I prefer to look at the vector separate of this because you have the options to look at your default and a few other options. Here you can merely look at it and then continue. Once you get to this screen, it's looking for valid signals and meter pulses. Once it starts receiving those pulses, the test will perform. In this case, because we're not hooked up to anything, it didn't see anything and it says there's nothing present, check your connections. Option 3, meter testing. You can do your customer load test, your phantom load test, phantom load with the MTA15Z, or a creep test. This allows you to go through and do just test that meter, no instrumentation transformers. Instrumentation transformers is the exact opposite. It lets you go through and do your instrument transformer testing, CT, customer load, CT boost testing, which will be using the Powermaster to generate your current, or PT testing. And once again, you do not test the meter under these scenarios. Data trending. You would insert your SD memory card, and then you're brought to a screen where you're allowed to make some choices as to how long you want the test to run and how often you want to sample. This field here, time interval, is set for 5 seconds. So every 5 seconds it's going to take a sample of all these values. This is the total time for the test to run, hours, minutes, and seconds. And this is your event high and low threshold. The higher this number is, the less events it will catch. The lower it is, it will catch almost everything. And once you're done testing and you proceed through your test, which we will cover in the testing video, you can deselect site, brings you back up, and then you can just simply power your unit off.